Okay, so now before actually moving onwards, as I have promised, I'll dedicate some part of this stream to the YouTube video, well, for a purpose to make out of this part of stream a YouTube video. So if you're gonna be watching this on YouTube, first of all, hi, thank you for watching and supporting this channel, whether you watch it live on stream, me or my brother, or you watch it at your own leisure, as the video on demand doesn't really matter as long as you enjoyed it. Anyway, this topic will be dedicated towards a question. Is it good or is it bad that you are collecting in hack and slash RPG low level loot at the end game, in the end game? Now, my statement on it is, by itself, if there is no mechanism that allows you to convert low level loot into mid tier, into the loot that can be applied or can be called as a mid tier or high tier, then it's pointless for a game to give a player low level loot at the end game. Why am I thinking like this? Well, Diablo 2 would be, and what example I should brought onwards. Diablo 2 is one of those games, and Last Epoch is the other game. See, I believe that whenever you already entered this endgame section or endgame segment, I think it's necessary for you to start having as much as possible the loot that you could use both on your main as your base for your main character, or as the future base for your future characters once they reach the end game. Because having low level loot at the end game doesn't really make it like worthwhile collecting it, having it on your screen. It fills up the space. It's an unnecessary time waster because you cannot convert it into something way more substantial. Out of myriad items in the database, collecting a low level item by itself, it's not gonna make you excited. Like you identified, like, let's say we're talking about Diablo 2, you identified and it's like, oh, here's like an weapon or an armor for level 19, and you're like opening your character, I'm at level 69, or let's say you're at level 60. Like, why do you need the item for level 19? And the thing is that those items, those low level items that you are collecting, they're not necessarily top notch, quote unquote, in regards to their parameters. I'm talking about the physical, flat physical attack, defense, and any kind of bonuses. So it's like, compare the two cases. You collect yellow item at level 19 for the level 15, and you collect the same yellow item when you are at level 60, and it's practically the same thing. The stats on those yellow items doesn't necessarily change that much depending on the difficulty where you obtain them. And like I've told you before, my take on it, you can agree or disagree on it, is I think that's a complete time waster. It should not be included in hack and slash RPGs. And I don't believe that it's something that would greatly benefit characters that you're trying to build as your main one, like from which you can then afterwards equip or gear up your secondary characters. Now, as a counter argument, you might say, well, with the endgame character it's easier to find items in comparison to the low level character. Yeah, that's true and all, but that's true to an extent. But again, like, this counter argument is only relevant whenever you already geared up fully, or at least at the 90% your main character. Once you are still in the process of looking for or reaching for or searching for any kind of items for you, like, to get stronger, and you keep finding low level trash, this doesn't help anyone. Like, to be like, first of all, when we have, like, with the Diablo 2 situation, we have limited amount of space, and secondly, this doesn't really pushes you to that end goal that you have in mind. You know, gear up your main character and then think about like your secondary characters, so you would start to collect loot for them. I don't think, like, the exception, again, like I've told at the beginning, the one exception that you could do, that you could apply, that I hope they will have in Diablo 4, fingers crossed, is if you have some kind of mechanisms that will convert this low-level trash loot into something, like, if not BIS, best in slot gear, then at least if to a good enough gear for your main character. At least, but still, make it so that you will collect most of the items that are more or less close to your character level and not low-level trash. But with this mechanism, it will be worthwhile for you to still collect those items, to still pick them up from the ground, not sell them, stash them, and then later convert them into something more powerful. In regards to the other game, Last Epoch is also guilty of that too. Like, the situation in Last Epoch is also, I think it's even worse, believe it or not, than in Diablo 2, because at least when I played it, it like was 8 months ago, because back then when you were at the end game, the difference between loot that you will collect, most amount of loot, that's also the sad part, was like 20 to 30 level difference, and most loot was trash, like it was garbage. You cannot even do anything with it, and there is no mechanism, there was and there still is no mechanism that will convert this kind of loot into something more powerful. So I don't understand why certain companies that are making hack and slash RPGs are doing so, because if you take a look at the opposite side, like let's say Grim Dawn, hack and slash RPG that is my second best right after Diablo 2, once you reach endgame, you will not all of a sudden start collecting items that could be worth like from level 15, 16. It's counter, in my opinion, it's counterintuitive, it's kind of pointless, and it defeats the whole purpose of endgame. Like, well, why are you keep giving me the trash stuff that I will not want to wear because I would want to upgrade my main? You get the idea. So all in all, I'd say if you want to still keep the system in mind, like with the thought process of, oh, like gearing up your secondary or tertiary characters would be easier this way when you collect low-level items at the end game, by no means, yes, keep it. Make it so that those low-level items are not going to be prevalent over high-level items, but have some kind of mechanism that will allow a player to convert these low-level items into something more powerful. But if you will not implement anything like this, and you just want to keep it for the sake of doing so, then sorry, but I dislike this kind of approach to the low-level gear and hack and slash RPGs. Again, I already brought some examples from it, like I already brought some examples of games that are doing this stuff already, Last Epoch, as well as Diablo 2 Resurrected. Like, this kind of stuff doesn't need to exist by itself. And the other game that doesn't have this kind of issue, Grim Dawn, when at the end game you will collect loot that is relevant for the end game, period. You will not have low-level items all of a sudden. So this is my take on it. Again, if you will be watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching it. Keep supporting us by any way, me or my brother, any way that you could. And I love you guys, and you are doing great. Thanks. And this is going to be the end of the video.